Hello, everyone. Okay, it's Friday night. I hope that you've have taken your dinner while waiting for other people to pop up. Like as usual, those people from Malaysia, give me a like. Those people that are from Singapore, give me a heart shape. And if you're from other countries, give me the angry face. Okay, give me the angry face. All right, so that I know that who are you guys, and do allow StreamYard for private chat so that I won't call you Facebook user. I will call you by your name if let's say you have question to ask. Hello, everyone. Okay, I know this has been like very, very much under the weather. What happens is, we don't even know that what is actually happening in EMCO. So we have like MCO, CMCO, FMCO, now it's EMCO. To be frank, the whole day I'm in a meeting, so we're strategizing. Day one, okay, if let's say today is, tomorrow we're not going to operate, this is what we're going to do. If tomorrow MITI doesn't show us anything, this is what we're going to do, okay? And frankly speaking, until now, all of my HR production people were on the phone call, were refreshing the MITI pages and just make sure that we can work tomorrow, okay? So I know everybody is very, very frustrated. Just hang on a moment. And today, I actually have a very, very special friend that I would like to, I'm very honored that I get to invite her, and I'm very, very happy that she's willing to come up and, share her a piece of like advice or her opinion and experience, about what today's topic would be bankruptcy. Okay, I just want to share a little bit of like why I started this topic, and I felt very, very deeply shaken. But before that, let me just invite Siau Sun to come up.
Hello, Sam. Hello, everyone.
How are you doing at the backstage?
I'm fine. I'm the back in my room at my house. The place I've been hiding for the last how many months? Hiding for the last few months actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Siau Sun, do you want to like intro a little bit about like what you do, and maybe also tell us a little about what is your profession, and then after you can tell a little bit about what you usually do and help people with.
Okay. I'm a lawyer practicing in West Malaysia, Semenanjung. So the formal name would be an advocate and solicitor of the High Court of Malaya. That would differentiate us from advocate and solicitor practicing in Borneo. Yeah, we have two different courts, high courts. Yeah, so I usually do my focus area of practice is commercial litigation. So usually I would advise businesses as to their risk, and then also help reviewing their documents, and when they are in trouble or they face some problem, then we will be the one that they consult before anything proceed to court proceedings or arbitration or whatever. We would normally be the one there to help them.
Yeah. So to be very frank, today I invited Siau Sun is because that many days ago, I don't think it's many days ago, it's just maybe probably 1 to 2 weeks ago, what I realized, so I saw this news on, I think, newspaper, and said that somebody took their life. So due to, like, I think there's not only one, like, there's multiple people that actually make a decision and said that, they've decided not to do this anymore due to the MCO. So of course there are many other reasons. There may be, fights, and there may be like other, disruption in the business, right, that causes this. And I was really thinking that those people who do that, would that be other options, right? In fact, for me, like I'm in the business, right? I was not properly told, okay, whoever that was in the business, nobody actually tell us that, bankruptcy is something, right? So today we're going to be on the topic of bankruptcy. Nobody is going to tell us about like, what's next, right? Because it seems like a taboo. Like it seems like a taboo, right? Not many people will say, oh, I'm going to go on a bankruptcy, right? But if let's say you look at a lot of bigger corporates in the US, what I notice is they put bankruptcy out as an option to protect themselves. All right. Well, of course, I don't know what's the reason, but if you can see, one of the big example that I put in Virgin Atlantics. So Virgin Airlines, filed for protection 5 months after the pandemic. So literally, there's no shame about putting this forward, okay, or taking this as an option. So I really like to ask Siau Sun about like what is your view around bankruptcy?
Okay, Sam, when you mentioned that, I think a lot of people, they use the term bankruptcy in a very generic way. Actually, under the law, bankruptcy concerns individual, right? Whereas winding up is where the company's business is being wound up, and then the board director ceases to have control over the assets and management of the company. Yeah. So we must first have a clear understanding if we are talking about winding up or are we talking about bankruptcy. Yeah. If we're talking about winding up, actually it is very, very common, yeah, for you, like you say, for a company to salvage themselves, yeah, to enter into some sort of either scheme of arrangement. And then now there's, I believe under the new Companies Act, there's also judicial administration. I think that there's something that is called that manner. And then there's also where you actually appoint, your creditor actually appoint this receiver and manager to come in to take over the management, the operation and assets of the company. So there are various ways in which debts or liabilities can be settled. Yeah. If you all recall, during the last economic crisis, right, we even had Dana Harta stepping in. Of course, Dana Harta, during that time, they stepped in. It was not with the objective of salvaging small SMEs, right? It was all the GLCs, right? But there was, what I'm saying is there are various options under the Companies Act, right? Apart from winding up, that means you have more, even something in addition to winding up, in arranging or in coming to compromise with your creditors as to how to settle the debt. Yeah. So the consideration being, you need to, of course, engage people like professionals to come up with a proposal to tender, submit to court. So when the court sees that this is something that is reasonable, and then that proposal is accepted by 75%, yeah, of the creditor, then it would be pushed through. Yeah. So a majority of your creditor feels that instead of getting nothing back, right? I might as well accept a quarter or even 20% of what I'm owed. I would rather get something back. Then there is a hope that the scheme of arrangement can go through. Yeah. So there's one option. There's only one option that I'm saying, but there are other options. But if you want to go into details, you cannot just be getting information from a talk like this. You need to go and consult professional lawyers, right? Now, when it comes to winding up, winding up is when usually it happens when a company, we say, is unable to pay its debt. Yeah, too many creditors, right? Too short a period, they are unable to pay the debt within the period that is contracted for or that is allowed by their creditor. Yeah. So usually what will happen is a creditor, if they want to wind up this company, they will serve a notice, right, under, I think, Section 466 of the Companies Act, to say that I'm giving you 21 days, you need to pay. Yeah. If not, then I'm going to petition to the court to wind you up. Yeah. Because of the COVID pandemic, the threshold for giving such a notice is raised to 50,000 ringgit. So if you owe somebody debt of less than 50,000, they will not be able to use this method, to demand for payment. Yeah. So it is only for debt that is above 50,000. Okay, that's winding up. So for individual, the bankruptcy, the last I remember, the threshold individual bankruptcy, so meaning to say, actually the effect would be similar. When a company is wound up, it doesn't mean that the company ceases to exist. It merely means that the company can no longer trade, because it would be any transaction that they enter into from the date of the petition. If later on it is the court give an order to wind up, right? From the date the petition was entered, all the transactions that they sign will be void. So basically, simply put, right, the company no longer has the power to do any business now, right? And whatever the assets the company has, right, will actually then be taken over by the official receiver if there is no private liquidator that is appointed. But you see, right, Sam, usually when you have creditors coming after you, and then you are unable to pay, usually the company has no assets. Usually the company really zero or negative in the bank accounts, right? Bank also chase for money, your suppliers also chase for money, and then maybe your salaries, right, or EPF. So in such circumstances, right, winding up really doesn't give any monetary benefit to the creditor, whoever who petitioned to wind up the company. Okay. Right. So even when clients come to me and say, can I petition to wind up this debtor because they have not been paying, then my advice to them is usually this, right? If they have money, but they are nasty, they don't want to pay you, right? They're dragging their feet, they're using that time to roll and for their gains, right, at your expense, then yes, by all means, right, go after them, because they are being irresponsible. Yeah. Then one, you may want to spend some money and teach them a lesson. Secondly, that may be a very effective threat, because they in fact have money, right? So they do not want a winding up to kick in and then they lose control over their assets. So that would be the situation where you should actually employ the method. But if really that person has no money, that company is zero, they have nothing, right? And they're being genuine, usually my advice to my client is, please negotiate with them. Yeah, negotiate. Come up with maybe, you can be creative as to how you want to settle this. Maybe they can offer you see that, hey, their business has potential, but it's just this period, right? They cannot pull through.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. You can even be creative to say, why don't I take over some of your shares? Yeah, or something, or you assign to me whatever income that you have in this project, or assign 50% to me. Yeah, so that at least you see the possibility of recovery in future, instead of wound up. Once it is wound up, because the company cannot trade, and most of the time, if you have signed enough business contracts, right, winding up would be a factor, or rather a ground for termination. Say, if I have a contract with you, right? If I realize that somebody has petitioned to wind you up, I have the right to immediately terminate. That's usual. I'm not saying that it definitely is that case, but a lot of contract has that clause. Yeah. So if you petition, right, you even jeopardize their likelihood of survival or recovering anything to pay you. Correct. Yeah. So that's why I would say that winding up is not a very good way. I wouldn't encourage people to use winding up to try to recover money owed, unless, like I say, they actually have money, they actually have projects, right? But they just are nasty. They don't want to do anything to pay you. That is the time when I advise. Otherwise, I wouldn't. Similarly for bankruptcy, because the effect is the same. Yeah. Once the person is adjudged bankrupt, right, the person no longer has control of his assets. In fact, what will happen is the official assignee take over his assets, and then of course, this is all subject to negotiation. It is all negotiation. The debtor can negotiate, the creditors can negotiate with them together with the help of the official assignee. Okay, so what will happen strictly by law? The official assignee will sell off all the assets, right, and distribute the assets among the creditors. Yeah, call it a ratio distribution. Yeah, according to the ratio. But again, like I say, if a person really has no money, you adjust him bankrupt, he's bankrupt lah, that's all. You will not be able to get anything back. So that is why I wouldn't see bankruptcy or winding up as an effective way of debt recovery. And also
that is, that is on the point from a view of like debtors wanted to take back the money.
The creditor wants
the creditors wanted to take back the money, right?
Yeah.
So if let's say I owe people money, if I were to declare bankruptcy, is that a means to protect myself? Like okay, I know that it has been quite tough for the past few months. And in fact, many people do foresee what is going to happen, for the coming months, right? Some people already foresee that there's no more income, right? To certain people, like for bankruptcy wise would be like personally, like they can no longer pay the rent, or not rent, they can no longer pay for, their loans, their credit cards are piling up. If let's say it's a bankruptcy, like I have already gone to an extent that I can no longer make up. What is my impact? If let's say today, immediately I tell people that, hey, I cannot pay up anymore. So what is the immediate impact?
When you say immediate impact of what act are you talking about? Which part?
Bankruptcy. So meaning to say that, okay, I give up. I'm not going to be able to pay up anymore. So the first thing, what should I do? If let's say I'm in this situation right now today, like I can't borrow money anymore. I don't have any income anymore. Let's tell people what sort of options for these people have. Yeah.
Okay, then I assume the question is with regard to an individual.
Yeah, individual. Let's start with the individual first. Yeah.
Okay. So in this case, of course, a non-legal option would be, say, if you owe banks or financial institution money. Yeah, one of the ways is to go to AKPK, agency under the Bank Negara, right? Usually they play the role of a mediator as well. Yeah, they will actually help you talk to the creditor bank and try to work out a scheme. Yeah, usually with much lower interest than, say, a credit card debt. Yeah, because credit card is 18% per year, correct?
Yeah,
correct. Per annum, and then it is compound interest.
Yeah.
So when you, so it is very likely, if you don't stop the rolling of the interest, right? At the end, the interest may be so much higher, so many folds, of the original principal sum. So AKPK is a good place to start. Yeah, and I personally, I have not dealt with them before, but I know people who have dealt with them, and they seem to find that they are helpful.
Yeah, I heard that what they do is the first steps that they will stop all your immediately they will stop all your credit cards transaction or any recurring, and then he will no longer allow you to do like continue to borrow, but they will help you to come up with a financial plan, like how are you going to recover, because
affordable ones.
Affordable recovery. So how does the affordable recovery happens is you start with like let's say every month you're freeing up your credits, right? Your credits. So that's where it can help you with that way.
Yeah. Of course, then when you say, what is the other option? Like I say, legally speaking, I find that going to your creditor, telling them that you are unable to pay now, give them a proposal that you can honor. Yeah, it's very important. I find that a lot of times people, when they receive, say, a letter of demand, or when your creditor is, knocking on your door, a lot of people choose to ignore it. Yeah, the thing is, when you do this, the creditor will not know what is happening.
Yeah.
And the first impression is that you are trying to evade your liability. So of course they need to take steps to protect themselves. That is why they will engage lawyer to issue letters of demand and later on maybe follow up with a legal suit against you. But if you really show your sincerity, in wanting to settle, and tell them frankly what you have in the pipeline, what is your projected income in maybe the next 6 months, give a realistic but not too little offer lah. Too little as in, I give you an example lah. I have had like clients who have gone to court and got judgment of say 300,000 and the other side offered to pay 500 a month. Is that acceptable? It wouldn't be acceptable, right? How many months will it take to get the money back, right? But you give something realistic, and then of course when you give a proposal like that, then you must make sure that you can honor it, or even if you cannot honor, you honor part of it. Let people see that you are being sincere, right? You are trying to settle. So they wouldn't want to also cut off their own, like I say, same with winding up. They do not want to cut off that line where they can recover. At least if you're paying me 2,000 instead of 20,000, right? 2,000 a month, every month. I see I can still get some money back.
Recovery, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is the practical thing to do. Yeah. But of course, there's also a very drastic way of doing it, which is you go and apply to declare yourself bankrupt. Because once you do that, same thing, you no longer have power to incur any more expenses, have any transaction, right? Once you are bankrupt. So while all your assets are being managed, your liability will stop. It will not go away. It will not disappear, but it will stop there. Okay?
Yes.
So what will happen is then your creditors will have to go and file their proof of debt. Then the official assignee will do their distribution. But I tell you all very secretly.
So that's a secret.
usually our insolvency department is not very efficient. It's not very efficient. So if the file end up in insolvency department, it is very difficult to see recovery. Very, very difficult. I'm not saying impossible. It is possible. And usually the possibility only arises when the bankrupt finally can, gather enough money to pay off part and then apply to discharge, or they can satisfy in full and apply to annul the bankruptcy order. That is when they will move. Otherwise, they will not move. Okay? So,
like I mentioned, I also do have friends who were, so I have two types of friends. So one type of friends that they got into a bankruptcy, then they work very hard to get out of the bankruptcy. I have another type of friend is they never got out of bankruptcy forever. That's because they are living on someone else, right? I mean, well, you can just live on someone else without, I don't want to say just publicly here, but you get the gist of it, right? Like,
well, I actually think it is quite an open secret. I would say they are wearing the cloak of bankruptcy, but inside they really do not live the life of a bankrupt. Yes. They can continue to have luxurious lifestyle, live in bungalows, and then drive expensive car under the names of their parents, wives, children. Let's not pretend that it doesn't happen, right? It actually is quite possible, and it may not even be illegal or unlawful. It really. Before he was insolvent, right? All these were honest gift, but mind you, there's something called a relation back. That one is something like if you know that you're going to be bankrupt, right? And you go and purposely before you become bankrupt, you go and transfer your assets, and all that can be recovered back by the official assignee. I think that's 2 years.
So they cannot do that before they want to.
They cannot abuse it lah. They cannot abuse it lah. But this is theory lah. This is theory because right? Because when it put to practice, there has to be investigation and stuff like that. So so that's why I'm saying a lot of people are doing this. Not even may not even be illegal, right? A person being adjudged bankrupt, all they lost is that they are unable to be a partner, right, or a director. They cannot be involved in management of their spouse or children's company, right? They cannot hold assets. They cannot travel overseas,
yes.
except with the consent, of the Director General of Insolvency. There are circumstances where you can actually apply, and then they grant you. The reason you are not allowed to go overseas is they don't want you to evade liability. Because if you go overseas, then you can start gathering assets overseas and become king in another land, right? So in Malaysia, you're still under the control of the insolvency department. You still have to fulfill your duty to pay back your creditor, right, before you discharge.
Correct.
So that is the reason. But if there is a genuine reason that you can put forward, you can still apply, then they can still give you permission. So there are certain restrictions, right, when it comes to the life of a bankrupt. But it may not, after all, right, be so bleak,
Exactly. I think that's the main purpose of why I want to inform or even do this Facebook Live is there are many options towards your business and your personal finance. It doesn't end up with, it doesn't just end up that there's no more way that you can continue, because many people during this time around, they use either bankruptcy or winding up as one of means to protect themselves. Okay, I wouldn't want to judge why they want to do that. But to me, if let's say you have already reached a point in time that you need to call for help, I think you should. You need to get people to help you. It's either by a lawyer, or you can go into with the auditor, find your friends, and find somebody that has knowledge about this and ask them what is the next step. And I'm very sure that many people will give you ways and help you out. Malaysia is a very, very nice country where people are genuinely there to help a lot of other people. Look at the recent white flag movement. There's a lot of things that people are still giving out to other people. And if let's say, I'm just sharing a very, very honest story that actually happens to me myself. I actually walk up to my customer and request for early payments. Right? Would that be one of the ways that it may be, right? So if let's say in your business you have issues, you can actually either discuss with your supplier, discuss with your customers, or even your bankers. I think a lot of banks right now also realize that many businesses are difficult, and I can sort of sense it, right? It's like, let's say I pull back all your finances, or if I pull back all your liability, what will happen to you? All my things will be defaulted, right? I won't get a single cent back, you see? Correct or not? Because literally I'm pushing you off the cliff. So what they do is they try to support and help. So only if you get to the right person to talk to regarding the finances and tell them that generally, hey, I cannot pay up, I need help. And that's what they're going to give you, either they extend or they give you the moratorium. So for you to go to another level, right? For you to, sustain for this 6 months. And the good news is, in fact, I think government is doing something regarding the moratorium. I hope, okay, to actually support those people. And people are weighing, hey, I have to pay interest, no interest is better. To me, is surviving is more important compared to the interest that was bound. Right now, you have to survive, the 6 months, or even a year. After that, think about how we can continue to move on. But now survival is very important. Either it's your personal finance or even your, company finance, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So basically it's really, really about, I'm not sure. So if those people that are online, you can always ask questions. What sort of question that you have? If let's say finance, but what Siau Sun today wanted to share with us is really about trying to negotiate out of it, rather than taking very drastic steps of, going towards okay, I know it's not bad. You could actually file for a bankruptcy. You could actually go for a winding up procedures, right? And is before that is would probably, Siau Sun, that would be the last step, right? And before that, is there anything that you can put up on the table and discuss, right? Sell part of your stuff, right? Or get some rich friend to come and, buy your machines, or hoard your assets, and exchange that into something that is liquid, like cash flow, for you to sustain. And okay, I also know that a lot of entrepreneurs, to the extent that they still want to hold down to all the burdens and not share it out to other people. And I really do hope that, there will be ways that you can share it out to people, and people is going to help, right? And remember that all of us, when we're going to, a lot of times, right? Uh, Many people don't get help or end up in a, what we call a very difficult situation, is because they never voice out their trouble, and they were always keeping it in, and nobody knows. And one day, suddenly they've just decided to do something very, very silly, right? So I want to encourage, like, entrepreneurs that are online. Even you're not an entrepreneur, you're facing some financial difficulties, you could, go to channels, right? What I understand for AKPK is, I do have friends, went through, and they really genuinely want to help you out with the situation, right? They genuinely want to help you out. The thing is whether you want to help yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Ask questions. Always ask, what can I do? If you don't know the solution, ask around. I think it's a hard pill to swallow for many people. Like, it's a hard pill to swallow, to own up, to say, hey, I think, I'm not doing well. Yeah, my finance is going downhill. It's very difficult, especially for business owners, to own up, because they always need to put up a front to show that, hey, I'm doing well, so that they can maintain the reputation, in the hope that they can, get better projects or contracts, business,
yes.
right? But there must be a point where you have to say to yourself, oh, this is the point where I cannot tahan anymore, right? So instead of choosing to end one's life, I think there are many better options. Yeah. Of course, those who chose that, I'm very sure it's because they don't see a way out. They think that this is the end, but actually, if you just go back and sleep over it, the next day when you wake up, you see the sun rising. You may gain a very different perspective. So, like Sam said, right, go around, ask, right? There's always solution. It may not be the solution that you want, or you like, but there is a solution. There will be a solution. Yeah. Even if your company is wound up, there are many successful rich business people who have been adjudged bankrupt before, who's come other, previous, 10 businesses failed before, right? Have companies wound up before, and their name, as because they were director, their name is blacklisted, but they bounce back. Yeah, they bounce back. So in Chinese, I don't know how many understand these. We say 留得青山在，哪怕没柴烧. So you always, there's always a way out. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, to those people who wanted help, can always, like, go on to, like, just message somebody. If you find that you can't call up, or you can't, really, be face to face with someone, just message someone and tell people that, oh, I actually need help, in that perspective. So basically, I'm not sure about you, but have you have any experience of people? Okay, this is a little bit sidetracked a little bit, because people will say, yeah, actually I have a lot of finance issue, but one of the biggest issue is I actually borrow from Along. Okay. And I also want to tell you, I have Along friends also, like, sometimes. So those Along friends also wouldn't want to push you off the cliff. You have to understand, their main purpose is to recover. They want you to give them the money, and not to really push you to an edge that you need to do something very drastic to yourself. So negotiation is also one skill that you need to maybe own up to. Tell them that, okay, can we talk this out, right? Can I do that? Of course, I think a lot of people don't see that there is a way of talking to them, because maybe when they come out, they will come in a very big, very violent kind of mode, you see. But at the end of the day, what is their objective? Their objective is really to make sure that you pay up. And is there rooms for no negotiation? I don't think so. I also believe that if, let's say, you are dead, I don't think how they can recover back this money, correct or not? And to the extent that they probably go to your family members, right, to recover this, right? So I would want to, I mean, I really want to encourage and take this opportunity to tell you guys that if let's say there's no way, go Facebook, go Google. There are somebody that is there to actually you can ask question, right? As a first step, right? Number one is to first own up, like understand what is the situation, what is your financial situation right now, and how many. So people will usually ask like, how many months can you survive, right? So yesterday I was in one Malay Facebook live. I'm not sure whether you know about Shed Asmi. I was a super fan of Shed Asmi, and so he was really helping out with like the Malay communities, how some of the people are in trouble because of this pandemic, and they are giving advice to those certain people. So this guy is like really basically an action taker lah. So he will tell where you stay, who can actually help you, and to the extent of let's say you're in trouble, he will bring you to another community to stay, you know, so that you can survive. So yesterday was like he's trying to help out a woman that is pregnant and to move out from his violent husband or the ignoring husband, something like that. So it was really, really something that touches me as well, because reach is still out there. Like there's a lot of people out there that is very, very willing to help. In our Chinese community, then there's a lot of like Dato who come on Facebook Live and they are actually physically helping people. Frankly speaking, they are really, really physically helping people. So Hui was saying, when should a business owner start to consider filing for winding up in this case? When the reverse is running how thin? I believe ideally not when the reserve is completely depleted. So Huni, so this is what people will do is like the ideal case is you need to get maybe an auditor or even your accounts people to take a look at what is happening to your finances right now and have a judgment how far along are you. And then maybe Siau Sun, you want to roughly answer. Did you see the question? Did you get to see the
question? I see. So I am not sure whether you're asking about winding up of the business or the bankruptcy of the business owner himself.
Oh yeah. Wait, about this thing, because there are personal liability business, like a sole proprietor.
Okay, yeah. Winding up is only with regard to limited companies, limited, what we call Sendirian Berhad, right? Or Berhad lah.
Yeah.
Berhad is limited lah, right? So so the winding up is applicable to these sort of registered, we call they are companies. Actually, the others are not companies, right? The others are partnership or sole proprietor. So partnership and sole proprietor, it will be personal liability attached to the partners or attached to the sole proprietor. So that is when we are talking about bankruptcy because it's the individual liability. So actually, I wouldn't have a direct answer to say when you should consider filing for bankruptcy. Because the reserve running low is not the only criteria. Because as business people, right, a lot of you would understand sometimes it is not about us having how much money, it's about how much, how your cash flow, you're handling your cash flow. Yeah, it may not be a case where you have huge reserve deposited in your bank account, but you still have a very healthy revenue. So the reserve should not be the only criteria for you to consider this, right? But like Sam suggests, this is not so much a legal question. This is more like a business strategy question. So maybe you should go to a business consultant, yeah, and tell them, hey, this is what I have. Yeah, this is my company. My reserve is running low. I don't see how I can do this. Then they will give you some options to consider. But I cannot answer that question because it is not a legal question and it is not the only criteria.
Yeah, I think HY here, right, basically want to ask if, yeah, okay, I have another question regarding this. Okay, let's say it's even um, a private limited, okay? If it's a private limited, however, there's one thing that we also need to take a look at is, let's say people decided to do a wind up. There are personal guarantees that maybe the directors have signed. And would that also impact the personal liability of the directors?
The personal liability of the directors will kick in once the company, usually you give a director's guarantee, right? Then it will kick in once the company fails to pay. It doesn't necessarily mean when the company is, only when the company is wound up, then the director will be liable. Yeah. Nowadays, a document, a guarantee document prepared by lawyers, it is usually, you guarantee as a principal debtor as well as guarantor, right? Meaning to say you are equally liable as principal debtor. So you don't even have to wait until the principal debtor fails to pay. I give you a notice, you pay because you are a guarantor, right? But like I
Yeah.
said before, a winding up event will actually trigger a termination or trigger something in the contract to say a presumption, right? To say, oh, the company is wound up, then, of course, naturally, you presume you are unable to pay because you are wound up. You no longer have control. You can't even pay me, right? So you can't, even if you have the money, right? If, say I have 100,000, but
It
I
stays
have
in.
200,000 creditors. I cannot choose to pay this 100,000 to a particular creditor. Yeah, that is called undue preference. That is void. Yeah. So when winding up like that happens, then almost all contracts, all contracts will actually trigger a termination or trigger this presumption, and then of course then the guarantor will kena, right? But like I say, it is not only when it is wound up. When the company fails to pay, say you are supposed to pay by the 7th, but you failed to pay, a lot of time the guarantee document is drafted in such a way that I don't even have to first serve you a notice to trigger your liability. You're already automatically liable under the agreement.
Yeah. So I just want to touch a little bit back to HY's question. So this is basically a business, like Siau Sun said, this is really about like business strategy. Get somebody to look into the accounts. Naturally, if let's say you can survive, your cash flow can only survive for the coming month or the coming 2 3 months. You wouldn't want to first consider filing a bankruptcy, but you want to consider about number one, what is your incoming pipeline? Is there any more business or any more viable business that is coming in? If you think that, okay, there is still viable business, how much do you need to have that to continue your business? And then if let's say you think that, okay, I no longer have any more incoming business, okay, then you want to look into like how much credits you're owing to other people. And can you talk this out by maybe getting someone to getting some resources to pay up? If you really can't do that as well, then consider talking to a lawyer about doing this, the filing of bankruptcy. So like we mentioned earlier on, we really want you to, okay, this is an option. I would say this is bankruptcy winding up is definitely an option, right? I mean, instead of you thinking that this is end of the world, it's a means of option. So as like we mentioned that there's many people out there has exercised this option and they came back or they stayed that way, living a leveraged life, right? So that is also possible. The thing that you will probably want to see that whether you want to continue this business, whether you think that there is still viability or potential in the business. If there is potential, I'm pretty sure even your customer or your supplier will support you to go through, because not all suppliers are nasty or not all customers are mean, right? So I'm pretty sure that there are also customers and and suppliers are doing that. Yeah, definitely I know that. Yeah, it's really thank you very much for business, because this thing is meant to for any owner. Okay, frankly speaking, maybe my position is not as good as many people out there. It's just that I felt the obligations to just share this with Siau Sun, because Siau Sun has a very firm knowledge about, giving assurance about what is going to happen in the market. And I think Siau Sun do provide a lot of knowledge, and of course, refer to your lawyers, all right, for more, what do you call that, for more information. Get yourself the knowledge before you make a decision. I think it's very, very important. So as I was saying, a classic case, a good business still has future going forward. Top line is good to have, bottom line is vital. Bad cash flow hits business, reality hits business owner. Yeah, so Zach is really, really pointing out a very, very good thing. So what is your bottom line? I mean, to maintain, what is your bottom line? Everybody encounter bad cash flows, and maybe sometimes you haven't even talked to bankers and see maybe they can top up a few 100,000. I don't know. Maybe there are assets that you got that you could refinance. So before you do that, run through your audits, run through your accounts checks, and see, is there any way that you can recover some of the money to help you go through this. We know that it's very tough. So Siau Sun, how's your is there any scene, like how's the temperature of this like, winding up bankruptcy thing around these few months? Is there an increasing kind of like
Well,
temperament?
actually, I think as far as I know, right, it has not been an increase. Actually, I think there has been a decrease, simply because of the entire thing. You see, right, for previous type of economic recession, or say when we want to recover debt, right, people just very generally think that, hey, maybe he's not genuine, right, I want to try to force him. So there are a lot of attempts to do this. Right? There were attempts to do this, right, as a means of recovery. But because of the pandemic, right, the reality is almost everybody suffers, right? Except those, I think, only very few flourishes. Those who do online marketing, yeah, and
They
in the
were
IT
in the
line,
glove industry.
yeah. Well, even the glove industry, how many is in the glove industry? Only the big ones, right? So very few people actually flourish during this situation, but majority suffer, and everybody knows that, right? It is not a lie, or it's not a pretense. So I think a lot of people are holding on, yeah, and also because of the bank moratorium, yeah. So the bank was stopped from going forward to enforce. And then, of course, there's also, if you know, I don't know whether you know that there is this COVID Act. I call it COVID Act because the actual name is very long. It's
Okay.
called Temporary Measures for Reducing the Impact of Coronavirus Disease 2019 Act. Yeah. So under this act, there are a few provisions that helps people to ease into that. Where there's a contractual obligations that could not be performed because of the MCO or any measures taken by the government, right? That because of that you cannot perform, and then the act provides for some way out, or some delay or postponement in the performance of the obligations, or even the payment obligations. I think there are the postponement of the enforcement under the hire purchase, consumer credit. There are few areas, right, that has been actually covered by this. I call it COVID Act. You all go and it's Temporary Measures for Reducing the Impact of Coronavirus Disease 2019 Act. So there are provisions that is in place to help people to don't have to avoid a hard landing, yeah, and also to answer the question of YH, right? YH, right? Just now, is it YH?
HY.
When HY, yeah, HY. When you should prefer, when you should prepare to wind up. As I said before, there are actually what we call rescue mechanism that is provided for under the Companies Act. I'm just, the Companies Act is in front of me. I just read the title to you. There's corporate voluntary arrangement, meaning to say you go and tell all your creditors, right? All the people that you owe money to, I'm unable to pay your debt. Yeah, this is my proposal, but it must be to everybody lah. It's not just limited, not selectively, right? That's one way. The other way is judicial management. My understand, I have not done this before, but I have gone through the sections before. What I understand is judicial management is that you ask the court to appoint somebody to manage the company's affair for a limited period of time. During this time, there will be moratorium, right? Nobody can sue you, nobody can do anything to your assets, right? And then it allows the company a time for recovery, yeah. But the details of which I will ask you to go and consult your lawyer, because I have not done this, right? But the Companies Act do provide for mechanism to rescue the company. So don't think of killing off the company first, right? Think of rescuing the company first. There are ways to rescue the company.
Yeah. What is the act again? The judiciary?
Oh no, it's under the Companies Act.
Mm-hmm.
It's under the Companies Act. Division 8 of the Companies Act is called Corporate Rescue Mechanism. Yeah. One is corporate voluntary arrangement. The other is judicial management. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to
it will be by a court order. They will appoint somebody, usually a liquidator or an accountant or auditor, right, who has the knowledge. They come in and manage it. Maybe you don't know how to run your finance, right? So they come in, look at it, and if it can be done, right, you give the company a breather, right? Then later on, the company may have a chance to recover.
Oh, this is extremely useful, I think, for people to understand that there is corporate rescue mechanism. So only if you're under the Sendirian Berhad, right?
Yes,
only
correct.
If you're under the Sendirian Berhad or the Berhad, maybe Berhad, okay?
Yeah.
Company Act. But if let's say you're a sole proprietor, then I would advise you to go to a KPK to actually kickstart how to pre-plan or plan your finance forward. And then that you can start to have even more knowledge about what you can do to the mechanism to rescue yourself. I really like the word like corporate rescue mechanism, right? It's really then the AKPK.
It is there. It's printed in the act.
I mean, well, if let's say I didn't go through the Company Act, so most of the directors doesn't go through the entire, booklet of a Company Act, or even, when last time we had this, like the act, right? So not many people do that, and we don't know. I mean, we just start a company, and then we wanted to run business, and get money in, and pay off salaries, and we didn't even know that there is this mechanism in there. So it's very, very important. Get yourself prepped up with the knowledge before making any decisions. If you think that, okay, you want to, do certain drastic actions in your business, maybe you also can consult people, like ask people, is it okay to do this? Is it okay to do that? What's your advice? The best thing that I feel is consult people with authority, like the lawyers, the auditors. Those are the people who can actually help you out in terms of that, right? And you will have a better picture to protect yourself, right? So I think we're almost coming to an end. I'm very happy that audience around, some of them I don't even get your name, so sorry that I can't wave to you. So but really happy Siau Sun is spending time with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so if let's say you want to contact Siau Sun, you can actually go to LinkedIn and then look for Siau Sun. I think her name would pop up, and maybe you can get connected to her. If let's say you have any other legal matters that you want her to help you out, if you want to follow me, do follow me in I Am Samantha Chi on Facebook page. And if let's say you're an entrepreneur that was hit by the pandemic badly, I have a group which is called the Pandemic Proof Entrepreneurs. You can actually go in there and hang around and talk with other entrepreneurs that are there, hopefully to get you out of this. I would say it's a madness situation right now. It's very new to everyone, even my dad. So I'm a second generation, right? So even my dad was, there's not much of advice that they could give, because it was so new. Everything was so new, right? Pandemic, the lockdown, the vaccination, the swab test, all these are so new to their business, you see. So I think it's really how entrepreneurs quickly pick up themselves, get themselves motivated back, and to solve bigger problems and see how we can actually pull through these days. So thank you so much, Siau Sun.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you
Sam. Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.